let me just tell you, I'd love to talk about the Godskin Apostle, because that motherfucker's my nemesis. So I'm going to give a brief little section. Lower the Dan level tier? Absolutely not. Thank you for pointing out that the top ranking possible is Dan level, God Gamer level, that's me by the way. Poggy is the one just down. Certified Hater. They caused me a bit of trouble to the point where they made me irate, but like, big whoop, they weren't anything special, you know? Maidenless, self-explanatory. That's you, chat, by the way. Insulting. They wasted my time, and I don't respect it. So, will this be a video on YouTube? Probably. So I've got them also in order, I think in chronological order that I faced them in my playthrough. Now, it was really hard to remember, for example, like, whether I fought Eleanor of the Briar before Magma Worm, whatever this dude is. It's hard to know which one came first, but roughly I think it's about right. So, let's just get into this. Margit. Margit is the first boss, the first major boss that you encounter in the game. My first boss was like that wolf demon dude in a cave, but like the first major one was Margit, and it's also the first story boss that really like challenges you to a significant level. Now, I've seen a lot made of the idea that people quit the game before they even get the chance to beat Margit because they're so frustrated, and in some ways you have to respect. Margit is kind of a gatekeep gaslight girl boss in many ways. The ultimate one. Margit is really hard. He's really hard, and he has one of the longest staffs that I've ever seen. It's a staff that I felt many times buried deep within me. Okay, that was way too on the nose. Margit is a really, really tough fight, but everything feels fair. I think the point that you meet him as well, he's got a super expansive moveset. But like I said, everything's fair. You feel like you can dodge everything. There's nothing that's cheap. I might have complained a bit, given it was my first boss in the game, but when I looked back at the footage of me fighting him, I thought, it's like one of my favourite fights in the game. Even still, I've fought like 90 bosses after Margit, and still, he's like, to me, one of the gold standard options. So straight up, I'm going to tell you, he's going Dan level. Now, I'm not going to be overly favourable to every boss in this game. Not everyone's going Dan level, but Margit has to go there. Godric the Grafted is next. Godric the Grafted is one freaky ass motherfucker. I don't respect him. I'm not one to kink shame, but this dude I think takes it a bit far. He's creepy as fuck. But he does have a pretty dope ass moveset. I think Margit and Godric, they kind of teach you the idea of learning to deal with bosses that seek to close you down, whereas perhaps, as I'll allude to in the future, there are some bosses that require you to close the distance on them and be more aggressive. Godric is one where you kind of have this balance, but he does force the issue with you. Him and Margit like to close the distance, and they teach you to kind of cope with those, with that playstyle. I reckon with the extra limbs, he probably gives good massages. You have to consider that has to be factored in. However, I would like him to keep those hands away from my ass, because as we saw, he quite enjoys puppeting creatures. And also on that note, he's a bestiality enjoyer, and like I said, kink shames, I don't usually have them, but for this dude, you have to be in place for a reason. But regardless of that, he's still a pretty poggy boss encounter. He is. So yeah, I think Margit... No. Regardless of his smell, he is still Dan level. He is. He's top level. Whereas I think Godric isn't quite on the same plane of poggery, but he's still poggy nonetheless. So he can exist there. Next up, we found ourselves facing off against the Red Wolf of Radagon. Cool boss. Very aesthetically cool boss. If we're talking about arenas, the fact that it's in like this parliamentary chamber, whatever, it feels like a place of great significance in the game. And he as like a creature, it feels like he's a bit out of place there. But it kind of creates this sense of grandeur. Like, he feels like he's a much more major boss than he actually is in reality. He is a wolf enemy, which means he loses 50 points of respect from me. Any wolf-like creature, I'm not a fan of. Keep them away from me. But in terms of, like, the actual boss itself, he's very aggressive, very fast, very weak, like a glass cannon. But again, I think most of his moves were fair. They all felt dodgeable. We've not really had an issue thus far, I think, where anything has felt overly cheap. Red Wolf of Radagon comes close though. There's one move he has which fucked me off many times, where he like spawns. He like does this prowl around you, right? He kind of like runs to the side, like 30 feet away from you, and he spawns like 4 daggers to home in on you. While those 4 daggers are homing in on you and you press dodge, he has a tendency to lunge forward and attack you with his sword also. And it's kind of overload. You're kind of a victim of RNG, or you're at the mercy of RNG with that one, whether or not it's going to be fairly positioned for you to dodge both attacks successfully. But for the most part, I think it was a fair boss. I also think it teaches you about playing with different dynamics of speed with bosses, whereas these two you can kind of take your time, kind of. Godric speeds things up a bit in a way that maybe Margit doesn't, but Red Wolf of Radagon is like full on, full steam ahead. Like a damn battering ram, but he is a glass cannon, like I said. I almost wish that maybe he had a little bit more health, maybe it was a longer encounter, but for what he is, I think he's a very impressive boss fight. Is this tier list based off of difficulty? Absolutely not. Is it based off how much you liked it? Kind of. It's based on... I should have maybe stressed that. I'll put this at the intro of the video. This tier list is largely based off of my experience in fighting them, and it takes into account spectacle, it takes into account fairness and difficulty, and also just, like, aesthetic. Like, it kind of encapsulates everything. This is just, like, people that I have fond memories of. Consider this Dan's memory fondness tier list of Elden Ring bosses. Now, those of you that watch the YouTube content, or those of you that were there, Bad Elbreth, you were there for the Regal Ancestral Spirit. It'll be no spoiler for me to let you know that this is going straight in the insulting tier, but we'll get there eventually. Red Wolf of Radagon, I enjoyed. And honestly, I think it's a pretty poggy boss fight. I do. Renala, I'm very tempted to go here. I really am. I'm tempted to put Renala in the bottom tier, insulting, purely because I was insulted by the way that she respected me. She's one of the few bosses that actually showed me respect in the game, and for that, I can never forgive her. She's not... She doesn't have much of a personality. She just sings you lullabies while she fucking gives you nightmares to experience after she's put you to sleep peacefully. And the main nightmare of all of it, it's the damn run back. The run back to this boss fight is ridiculous. It's actually like unforgivable. Someone was in the chat when we were fighting this boss, and I think they said that it was 2 minutes 10 or something between me spawning and me running to the boss. 2 minutes 10. That's ridiculous. Now, there was some discourse on in the YouTube comments about whether or not this is well implemented to give a player a sense of like achievement, because eventually when you do beat her, it gives you this greater sense of euphoria. I think it's cheap as fuck to add that padded time to the start of the fight. I don't care if you think it makes it feel like a more difficult experience. I just think it's bullshit. You should spawn there. You should spawn near, at least near enough, the fight. I don't care if that's cut to like 30 seconds. That's even more forgivable. We consider Placidusac's like a 45-second run up. It's not really that bad in comparison to this shit. And for that reason, I'm tempted to put it insulting. However, fuck this. She also has 2 separate phases that feel completely detached. They don't feel like they're the same fight. The first phase, I think you should beat it once, and then you should not have to do that shit again. Where's the challenge? Did anyone find the library section challenging at all with this boss fight? Where you have to just listen and hunt down the 3 singing librarian demon girls? The anime girls? Did anyone find that remotely interesting or challenging? I'd be really shocked. Whereas the second fight, as you all know, caused me some issue. I think I fought her when I was a bit underleveled, which didn't help. If it were just the second phase, I would put Renala in Certified Hater. However, because of the first phase and because of the run-up, fuck it, I'm insulted by her very existence. I'm not moving her. She's staying there. I'm insulted. Also, I'm going to order them so, like, Most insulting will be here, and then least insulting will be over here. And to be honest, Renala so far is the most insulting. She is. The boss fight is pretty cool. I like it's one of the sickest looking arenas in the game, boss arenas. That like, you know, flat plane, in the dream moon realm, whatever the fuck it is. It's very cool. But that can't save the fight from being a boring as fuck, unnecessarily and forcefully frustrating experience. Misbegotten Warrior? More specifically, the one that's in that castle way south of Lernia. Bottom left of the map. Your first encounter with the Misbegotten Warrior. I don't remember it greatly, to be honest. All I can tell you is that I hate this fucker. I absolutely hate him. He's similarly aggressive and relentless as the Red Wolf of Radagon is. And I think, honestly, in my first encounter with him, I may have beat him in like the first 2 attempts or something. Possibly. Which is not going to affect like the ranking. It's just gonna tell me that maybe he's not as much of a bitch as I remember him being because of the Crucible Knight duo fight that I had to endure. That I never even got to beat. The ultimate insult. If it were the Crucible Knight and the Misbegotten, they'd be below insult tier. But this dude, I don't remember him, but I wasn't too offended by him. I liked the fact that, I guess, I beat him and it made my ego feel good. So he can be a certified hater. We'll allow it. I'm going to be honest with you. I was tempted when I was not creating this tier list, don't get it twisted, was created by Cinemer1. Shout out to Cinemer1 for the creation of this tier list. But I was tempted to add my own section here that was going to be like Loretta tier. Loretta tier purely exists just for Loretta to be in a place of her own, and Loretta's place of her own would be between Certified Hater and Poggy. Because I think the Loretta fight is a lot of fun. I think it's very fair. Somebody said when I was fighting this variation of Loretta that it's like the fairest fight in the game in terms of like balance difficulty. I think with my Moonveil Katana I found it a little bit easy over here, but I fought this version of it with the Great AP and that was not very easy because she's got wide swinging arc combos that she likes to hit you with, and when you're a close range player that caused me some issue. Maybe the only thing that did cause me issue in the game. Definitely not the next boss that we're going to be talking about. That didn't cause me any issue at all. I destroyed them with ease. All me, by the way. All me. Lone warrior. One-man army. But Loretta, Ghost, whatever the fuck. This variation, I think, is also a certified hater. I would put them in Loretta tier because I like the fight. I like the sort of give and go, ebb and flow of the fight. I don't feel that there's anything in there that's really bullshit. Nor is there a reason that I could think, I don't really want to fight her again. You know? If you gave me the option of all these bosses to be like, hey, would you fight this boss again today? Loretta, I'd probably be like, yeah. Misbegotten, I'd probably be like, yeah. These 2 motherfuckers, I'd be like, absolutely not. Keep them away from me. Would you fight this boss again today? Radahn? 100%. Here's the problem with Radahn. I fought Radahn when I was definitely underleveled. Definitely, 100%. I struggled a lot. I think I got him to phase 2 like twice when I fought him with the great... Was it? It was with the Great AP. I was using that shitty ass sword where the only thing I could do was just stab forward with a lunge. And of course he's like a cosmic ability wielding god of war himself. It seemed like a bit of a mismatch. In fact, it was such a mismatch that it's the only fight in the game that I decided to use summons for. It's the only one. Because while I got to his phase 2 and I felt, holy fuck, we're doing it. That was great. That was, you know, a really worthwhile and sort of like triumphant moment. Satisfying. I don't think that getting there again filled me with excitement because I was underleveled. I should have really gone away, leveled up, come back and battled him again, because the fucking spectacle deserves it, right? It's the coolest looking fight maybe in the game, although I'm probably going to spoilers. I think Rykard is a cooler looking fight than this, but it's up there. And yeah, I may have cheapened the fight to a degree, based on the fact that, if you don't know, I allowed the summons to basically destroy his health bar and take it down to like 5%, while I urged them on and encouraged them from the sidelines, like a coward. And then I stepped in, chat was like, get in there and fight! And so I stepped in for the last 60 seconds and took down 10% of his HP. That was all I did. That was my whole contribution to the boss fight. But I have since looked at other people's experiences with the fight, and I have to confess, I did not give it its true... I did not give it the attention that it deserved. And so I think it would not be fair of me to rank this as anything lower than Dan level. In fact, it should be higher than Dan level, to be honest, because it was above my level. Admittedly. But very, very awesome to look at. Very cool moveset. I like the fact that he's both a blade wielder and a magic user. A close range, but also far ranged attacker. He's got the comet attack, which is like the coolest attack in the game. And also, if you did use the summons correctly, and you also participated in the fight while the summons, did the work with you, rather than letting them do all the fucking dirty work, then I think it would be really, really cool to have you running in with a little legion by your side to take on this ancient army war general. He does have an STI though, but I don't think that should knock him off of his perch. I think Radahn should be considered this level. I can't put him higher than Margit in my mind, because Margit was an experience that I think I just enjoyed more. And again, it's purely because of the way that I approached the fight. The way that I approached Margit was perhaps more proper than the way that I approached Radahn, and therefore I had a more fun time. But looking back at Radahn's fight, he can't be anything lower than top class. He can't be. I totally agree, even though I don't know anything about the game. There we are. I know you would. Just agree with me. I promise you, as is always the case, my opinion is right. Mimic tier is what I stumbled on next, because beating Radahn allowed me to go into Nokron, the Eternal City. I fought against the Mimic tier. My build was so comically weak that I think the Mimic tier didn't get a single hit off on me. But I have to say, the very concept of the fight itself is very funny to me. I think it yields, or it potentially yields, a lot of interesting outcomes and experiences for other players that perhaps didn't go in with nothing but one shanking blade and no true skill. So essentially, I stayed away from him while he tried to hit me with the Great Ape's Impaling Thrust. And because the Great Ape's Impaling Thrust has like a 1 second animation cooldown to it, I just immediately used my Impaling Thrust when he used his, and it was just easy. So I could put it in insulting, but because I think the chance for other people to have a much more fun experience with it, I'm putting it in maidenless. Whereas like Renala, I do not believe someone had fun with this fight. I don't believe it. I don't believe that someone enjoyed the 2-minute run back. I simply don't. Who's this? It's like Dragonkin, Dragon Soldierkin, Dragon Dude. I really don't think he's that interesting, to be honest. He's just a boss that takes wild swipes at you while you try and, basically while you whittle his health down. He's a massive target. He's not very hard to hit. He's not very fast. He's just not very interesting. He feels like a very B-tier boss, C-tier boss even. Nor does he have a very fun gimmick or interesting... he's got an interesting look to him, as character designs go. But I just don't think the fight is very memorable, and for that reason, consider him a maidenless soul. Poor man. How will he recover? I think, to be honest, the least thing this person needs to worry about is the fact that they don't have any maidens. Just looking at them. Not to be judgmental like that, but yeah. Who's this? This is one of the horseback soldiers. What the fuck are they called? What the hell are they called again? Knights of something? Not Crucible Knights. Tree Sentinel. Right, but this isn't... Is this the regular Tree Sentinel? Let's have a look. No, I think this is the Draconic Tree Sentinel. This is the Tree Sentinel that also has Zeus powers sometimes. And wields like a dragon claw or some shit. Give me one moment. Where are my notes on the Draconic Tree Sentinel? I don't even think I made any. That tells you what I thought of him. I think, if nothing else, the Draconic Tree Sentinel, or the Tree Sentinel in any instant, there's a sense of like occasion with him appearing. When you fight this boss, it makes you think that there's something of great interest that awaits you beyond him. So that's enough to get you through maybe the moments where you find it feels unfair. Although I should stress, for the most part, I don't think this boss has much... I don't think he offers much that is truly unfair, in my mind. He never triggered me too much. But I have to say, the spamming lightning moves, very uninteresting, very uninspired. Or not lightning, the spamming fireballs from his horse. What is that? Why did they put that in the game? Why does he hit you with 6 fireballs repeatedly? I think... I will say, he provides extremely satisfying dodge opportunities. You know the one move where he like raises his fucking claw arm and yanks it down and shoots lightning from the sky on top of you? When you get that dodge down, it feels sick as fuck. It feels like some Matrix shit. Like it actually feels like something out of a damn film. Very cool spectacle. But the fireball attack annoys me to the point where I can't put it anything higher than certified hater. And I think honestly it belongs there. If we consider all of the Tree Sentinels whenever they appear, draconic or otherwise, it's a pretty iconic fight. If we also let's tie in the original Tree Sentinel to this dude as well. That first encounter when you leave the tutorial section of the game, and you see him, and you decide I'm gonna go and take him on, and you're just mercilessly put to shame. It's a memorable one for sure. It will stick with me as a gaming experience. I did then run away from him after attempting like 10 times. Came back, maybe took another 10 attempts to kill him, the original one. Took him out, and it felt like I'd leveled up within myself. It's like the ultimate ego boost. So in some ways, this boss fight is the ultimate hater, but also the ultimate hype man. He pushes you on to progress in the game. We killed him after we killed Renala, I think. The original one. And it felt fucking good. So because of that sense of euphoria, he's not going any lower than certified hater. No way. Ghost of Godric. I don't actually remember. Spirit of God... not Godric, Godfrey. Spirit of Godfrey? Ghost of Godfrey, whatever. I don't know, man. Cool, I guess. Too short. I found this boss really easy. I think I took him out in like 5 attempts. It's partly because by this point in the game... Wait, had I? No. I hadn't switched to Moonveil yet. I had Great AP. This boss was easy for me when I had the Great AP. That's kind of extremely embarrassing for it. that immediately deducts points for him. I like the battle axe. You know what I will say? This boss, as well as some others that we've already spoken about, such as Renala, they provide you with the chance to, I don't know, how am I even going to describe this? You can hit them both there's a great sense of rhythm to the fights, in the sense that, fuck Renala's spawn attack, where she fucking conjures up like dragons and trolls and shit. Why is that in the game? That's purely because the developers did not think that she was enough of a challenge on her own, so they had to fucking throw in some extra shite. I'm done talking about Renala. Fuck Renala. Fuck you. She also brought the gremlin out from within me. Unforgivable. Below insulting. Sorry. Time to return to a world of Zen. Godfrey. Ghost of Godfrey, whatever. Yes, they both provide you with the chance to dodge past their attacks around them and take little hacks, like little by little, to their side. I like the fact that his axe, for example, it's attack. I don't know how you say this. The radius with which he can attack is not that great. You can get around his axe when he's swinging in front of you and take a little hack at his ankles, and it feels very satisfying. It also feels satisfying, I think, the pace of the fight. He's got some delayed attacks, but when you get them down and you get truly into the rhythm, it's one of the fights that feels the most like a dance. And what you'll find with me, with my rankings in this game for these bosses, the more it feels like a choreographed dance, the more favorably I'll remember it. I think yeah, I stand by that. Margate felt like a great dance partner. Soldier of Godfrey also felt like a great dance partner, and he would probably find his place in Certified Hater, were it not for the fact. No, fuck it. He can be a certified hater. I think that's not generous. I think he belongs there. I don't think I can put him up in Poggy. Certainly not in Dan level, because what comes later, he's the calm before the storm. He's the introduction to, spoiler, Godfrey and his moveset. But Godfrey is like a development and a variation of the themes that you've already learned from this rendition of that encounter. Cool boss fight. Nothing too hard. And yeah, middle of the road, I would say. Morgott was super fucking exciting. Now, this could just be me speaking anecdotally. In my encounter, it almost definitely is, in fact, but in my encounter with Morgott, it was the moment when I was told by chat, "Oh, you're fucked. You're fucked here," because they knew I mean, let's be honest. I'm very bad. I'm very bad at the game, and people were quick to point it out. And they were like, "From this point on, from this boss on, you are going to be fucked. When you fight Morgott through to the end of the game, you will be fucked. This boss will make you beg for death." I beat him in like 5 attempts, and it gave me this incredible surge of belief. And I also did think I was close to the end of the game, though, at that point. So I was like, oh, this must be one of the final encounters if people are hyping it up so much. No, it's like the mid-game point, which was mad to me. I did not expect. But it was very cool. Yeah. Where the fuck was I going with that? Poggy's a very disturbing name. How? Why? What's disturbing about it? Don't be jealous, R2. Maybe one day you can find yourself in the Poggy boss encounters tier ranking. There's no reason to be jealous. Morgott, cool boss fight, incredible variation of an already established theme, but I do not think anywhere near the same level of being iconic. Entertaining. I like that he had his staff was even harder than ever before, penetrated with even greater precision. In fact, his staff was not a staff at all. It was a disco blade. It's very cool. I like the idea. I like the way that this fight plays with space. I don't want to find myself in a Poggy position. I really wish that I don't. Okay. You might like it. Don't knock it till you try. Right, Morgott. I like the idea that he plays with the space in the arena. You know what I'm thinking of specifically when I say that? The move when he rains down like gold knives from the sky. Becomes like a landmine around you, and it forces you to remain in this small circle area in the arena. Also, the arena's fucking sick, by the way. I think the arena largely You're right at the base of the air tree. It feels like you're about to finish the game, and maybe that's partly why I was so hoodwinked. Is that the word? That's why I was misled into thinking that this was one of the, if not the penultimate boss or whatever, because the arena has such a sense of finality and looming greatness to it, given that you are at the base of the very thing that this world is centered around. The fight, what am I talking about? So showering gold knives forces you to be in to be in a little ring in the middle of the arena. And then he hits you with combos, and you have to be mindful of your space and bob and weave, but don't bob too much, don't get overexcited, don't leave the circle, because that's certain death. It was very cool manipulation of space, and I think when I look at all of the other bosses, there are no bosses on this list so far that have that effect. None of these bosses play with space in the arena like Morgott does. Showering gold. Did I stutter? I know what I said. I bet fucking Godric likes showering gold. He's the lord of all that's golden. He definitely does. He's such a kinky fuck. Alright, Morgott is not on the same level as Margit, but he's a very, very significant, interesting, cool boss encounter. And yeah, definitely a poggy individual. In fact, so poggy, I still think Godric's a better encounter. Godric's more fun. Godric's a more fun boss fight. And at the end of the day, what are video games if not to be fun? If not a fun sense of escapism. Am I right? They definitely just take me to a realm of calmness and zen, especially Tetris. The ultimate escapism. Okay. Elmer of the Briar is up next, but I don't think he is. I think this motherfucker is. This fucking regal ancestor bitch. I hate him. I don't know if this is if the boss is in here as a nod to Norse mythology or whatever. Did you ever see the film Antlers, by the way? I saw the film Antlers when it came out last year. Interesting horror film. I think where was that based? Artu, you're from that little conglomeration of countries. What country has a folk's tale about an antler demon? It's one of those. Which one is it? But this boss is fucking shite. I hate him. I hate everything it represents. It feels like a waste of my time. It feels like it wasn't difficult at all. This is not copium, I promise you. It was not difficult at all. It was just long. Probably Norway. I think you're right. It probably was Norway. I don't know if this is supposed to be some sort of nod to Norwegian folklore, but alas, it exists, and because of that, I'm unhappy. Its existence brings me nothing but anger. Anyway, boss is not hard. Boss is long. Boss heals itself 3 times unnecessarily. Boss can suck my dick. Boss insulted me. Boss took me 2 hours to beat. I'm definitely editing that out of the YouTube video. And therefore boss can stay in the fucking depths of hell where it belongs. Elmer of the Briar didn't take me nearly as long as this fucker, but had some equally annoying aspects to it. I do think it's probably like my favourite random boss fight in the game though. Oh, there's a fucking fly. Leave me alone, please. Probably my favourite random boss encounter in the game, in the sense that he's not like a main story boss. He did give you an achievement though. You find him in the Shaded Castle, or the Shade Castle, the Castle of Shade. You find him there, and he's got a cool moveset. Pretty dope aesthetic as well. He's like covered in barbed wire and shit. I watched like an Elden Ring lore video. I cannot recall why he's covered in barbed wire, but it's something super cool. Look it up if you haven't. He's just a cool character. He's a simp though. He's got a Millennia portrait behind him. Simp energy. His sword is like a bullshit as fuck mechanic in this fight. He launches it across the arena, and it just hovers there. It just stays there while you're not looking at him. And when you don't expect it, he brings it back to him, and it cuts right through your back, and you don't really have much time to react to it. But when you learn it, at the start it's very frustrating. But when you learn it, which I should stress, I did not learn it. When you learn it, I can imagine it would be very, very cool to be able to dodge. But I had a very frustrating time with this boss because I was stuck with the Great AP at this point still. And it took me... I had to break the boss down into little stagger segments. So it took me 3 Great AP stabs to stagger this fool once. And it basically felt like I was reaching checkpoints every time I staggered him. I don't think I really enjoyed the fight that much, but I can appreciate the fight for what it is. Which is to say, it's one of the coolest random encounters of the game. It has some frustrating aspects, but for the most part, felt pretty well balanced in terms of level. Like, it didn't take me too long to beat it. but it provided a lot of challenge. You know what I mean? It kind of struck like the perfect balance, I think. I'm going to put him certified hater also. One of my favorite middle of the road bosses. Probably higher than this dude. Probably higher than this dude. Loretta can chill here. This feels about right. Magmar worm creature, I don't fucking remember. I hate this boss because, like many of the bosses, you're mainly fighting with the camera, I find. Many of the big bosses, I should say. Because he's so fucking massive, you can barely see what attacks he's hitting you with half the time. You have to just blindly dodge unless you've played this fight like 400 million times and you learn what sort of things to look for in, I don't know, his belly button movement. Whatever belly dance he does before he hits you with a certain attack, and you learn that. Otherwise, you're just fucking spamming the dodge button and hoping. That's what I found myself doing whenever I encountered one of these fools. The one in the cave, there was one that we found in like a mine, or like it was like some sort of mine with those dudes that are hacking away with pickaxes at the walls. We found one down there, and that one was probably my favorite of all of the encounters with these magma worm things. This thing we found in a secret. It's like a secret passage up towards the Altus Plateau, I'm pretty sure. Also in a mine area. I don't know why they love just chilling in those mines. But anyway, he was there, and that's about all I remember about him. And the fact that I hate the fact that I couldn't really see him. Like, he's a cool looking boss, but what does that matter if you can't fucking see the dude? Just hacking at his stomach, hoping that he won't hit you with one of his bullshit AoEs. Maidenless. Valiant Gargoyles. Dog shit. Actually my least favourite boss in the game. 100%. I hate them. They have movesets that do not complement each other at all. At all. They have bullshit AoEs. Intermission period over. Valiant Gargoyles. They have the bullshit poison AoEs. Fuck that. You can't really have them both in your vision. You need to have them both in your vision though. So you need to stay away. You need to keep hovering back from them. You can't engage at all. This is one of my least favourite things in these bosses as well. When you're not able to engage with the boss, like, aggressively, I think you should have an option. You should have the option to be a reactive or a proactive player. Now, some bosses might lean into one thing more than the other. Take, like, Malenia, for example. I don't think Malenia is that bad in terms of a fight that forces you to be on the back foot. She's got very devastating attacks, but she also has a lot of openings, so you can kind of go back and forth between being the aggressor and being the reactor. Whereas with the Gargoyle duo, you cannot press these fuckers. It's impossible. You're limited to one style of gameplay. If you're a melee wielder, like I was, it's a fucking rancid, torrid time to get through. It's not fun. Like, you'll think that you've got one where you want it. You're focusing on him, you're attacking him, and then behind you, you can't even see, there's like a poison AoE shower that's from 200 meters away. The range on that thing's ridiculous. Maybe if the poison were like a beam, I don't know, rather than a massive AoE, like something that was just targeted, like Mog's blood throw or whatever. If it were like that, it'd maybe be more forgiving. But as it is, it's just a stinky boss fight. And I hate it. And it can stay there forever. It's never moving. On the other hand, Commander Nile. I take it back. This is probably my favourite random boss encounter in the game. To the point where he's not a hater. I think he's a very poggy fight. I enjoyed this fight a lot. You might not think I did, because I'm pretty sure he caused me to like finish an entire bottle of vodka. Vodka flavoured water via the forfeit wheel. He took me many, many hours to defeat. Probably like upwards of 3, to be honest. But I loved it, even though I was mad. I was very happy to be angry while fighting him. If you... Let me try and be a little bit more specific with this. I like his moveset aesthetically. Any boss that has lightning attacks, they kind of get a 1-up in my mind. To be honest, I just think it's cool as fuck. But that's because I'm biased, and I always have been. Zapdos has always been my favourite Pokemon, for example. Niall's a cool boss, and he feels, again, like he has that dance quality. I don't know what it is. Something about his range closing moves, like the lightning ground slams, I have a lot of time for. Even if I do think it's a bit, he maybe teeters a little bit too close to the side of being a reactive fight. Although I should say, there were a couple of times when I was instructed by, or helped by chat, and recommended, not instructed, recommended, particularly Danny, thank you Danny for your coaching on this one, recommended to stay within his immediate circle of influence. Because even though he has those whirlwind attacks right around his fucking feet, you can dodge through them. It's just hard. So I elected instead to keep a distance. I almost beat him with the Great Ape, which would have been like the ultimate triumph. But I did come back and relearn this fight with the Moonveil Katana. And with Moonveil, it was easier but also harder. You couldn't stagger him as easily, but you could stay back and just hit him with transient moonlight slashes. Which may or may not be how I defeated him in the end. But I enjoyed the fight a lot. I like his character. I like his general, his general joie de vivre. It feels cool. A lot of people I've seen have complained about the fact that there's a difficulty increase, which is perhaps unearned through the presence of his two knights that he has alongside him. But I think that's cool. I think it's fitting with his character. It makes sense. He's a fucking army general. He would have lackeys with him. Also, he looks a bit old. He's probably seen the best of war, so he's maybe not in his peak condition. So it makes sense that he'd have people with him to do his dirty work, basically. And when you get through them, there's a very fun fight waiting for you beyond that slightly frustrating start. If you can isolate the shield guy and then the sword guy, then you get through to what is, in my mind, a very, very enjoyable fight. And a very memorable one. And that's why he earns his place in Poggy. Right there. Godskin Noble. The fat boy. I don't have too much to say about him. The thing is, when I fought him in the Blood Manor, I think I was maybe over-leveled. There's a couple of reasons I point to that being the case, perhaps. One is that someone joined my chat that day and said, hey, you've not already been to the Blood Manor? What the fuck? You should have been there like 20 levels ago. That maybe gave me a hint. And also when I got to this fight, I think I beat the Godskin Noble second or first try. Then when I met the Godskin Duo, they didn't take me more than like 15 attempts either. So I never really got to learn the Godskin Noble all that much. What I will tell you is that I do not enjoy his moveset. I don't think it's fun. I don't think it's fun to fight him. He's got that fucking bullshit death flame, black flame throw grenade move thing that he does. That is only, it's like, there's a couple of moves in this game that really fuck me off like that. It's linked to when you are away from the boss. When you're a far distance away from them, they use that as a range closer. Or when you press the button to fucking take a sip of your flask, it triggers them to use that attack. Why? Why not just keep it as random? It genuinely feels like every time you take a sip, they throw the flame at you. And that's maybe not a problem for him. But for these fuckers, it is. When one of them throws a flame at you, so you dodge, and then drink because you think you have a chance, and the other one throws a flame at you while you're fucking drinking, and you get hit, and it just makes you mad. It's no wonder why people think the Godskin Duo fight is an abomination. Even though I don't think it myself, but I understand. Godskin Noble, I think he's pretty uninteresting. I think his roly-poly move is disgusting. There's a few bosses in this game that have a roly-poly move. The most egregious of them all is definitely the Regal Ancestor Spirit. His roly-poly move is horrendous. Godskin Nobles is also pretty bad because there's no telling when it's going to fucking end. Sometimes he'll do it for 2 seconds and he'll be fine. Sometimes he'll do it for 10 seconds. You've dodged away from him. You think, surely it's going to end, so you stop having your guard up, and then he just fucking rolls into you. Someone told me, oh yeah, it stops when he hits you. That's also not the case. There's one time when I was fighting the fucking Godskin Duo, he hit me once with the roll, and I was like, okay, that's over. Then he fucking came back around and rolled all over me again. The disrespect was off the chain, and for that reason, I don't respect him. The only thing he's got going for him is that he's got that sick-ass fucking soundtrack behind him, but big whoop, Godskin Apostle already did it. You're just a pretender, you bitch. You're half as cool as a Godskin Apostle as well. You're a weird fucking kinky dude. I don't respect the fact that You're probably a fucking necrophiliac. I don't respect the fact that you wear the skin of your victims. And honestly, your arena's pretty cool, actually. But fuck you. I don't have time for you. You're maidenless. Get fucked. But he is memorable. He is memorable in the way that these three really aren't. He can be the top of maidenless. No, you know what I do have to respect, though? For such a big lad, I respect that he has such great footwork. Footwork? He probably has that as well. But I respect that he has great footwork. If nothing else. But that still doesn't earn him free pass. He's still considered maidenless in my eyes. Rykard, Lord of Blasphemy. Massive fucking snake boss giant beast thing. My favourite fight. Maybe in the game. It actually might be my favourite boss in the game. Always thinking about food. I had a banging steak dinner today. Ooh, that shit was off the chain. It's very good. Rykard, Lord of Blasphemy. The best arena in the game. I like the fact that they force you to use a different weapon. It kind of switches up. There's a great sense of novelty to the fight. It is a gimmick fight, but I don't give a fuck. It feels like it's from a different game, and I'm okay with it. Because the game it feels like it's from is incredible, and I'd play it. I'd play the game where you've got a god-devouring, serpent-slaying sword, and the boss fights are all like massive fucking God of War-like encounters. I mean, there probably is a game like that. It's probably called God of War. I wouldn't know though, I haven't played it. But this is probably the one that feels like the grandest spectacle. Even more so than Radahn. Yeah, even more so than Radahn. It feels sick as fuck. The voice actor's having the time of his life. A lot of character to this character. And yeah, I think just out of sheer, wow, that fucking blew my mind when I think back to it. He has to go there for me. Not as intricate. Nowhere near as intricate a fight as, say, Margit. Or Malenia, who's going to come soon. But makes up for it in pure shock and awe. So you can chill up there for me. Reasons I would pick up the game. Rykard boss fight. Fire Giant. The Fire Giant is a certified hater. He's a high certified hater. But he's a certified hater. He can live beyond Loretta. I still would rather fight. I still think about like my fight as the against the Draconic Tree Sentinel that guards that fucking Royal Capital area. I still think that's a more memorable fight than this. This fight's cool. His design's very cool. I like the fact that he has a living god in his chest. It's a bit creepy. He is Scottish though. You have to give it up for the Scots. Who else is Scottish so far? The Misbegotten Scottish. The Red Wolf of Radagon is Scottish. And the Fire Giant. All of them with fiery locks on their heads. We claim them and we're proud of them. Notice how they're all beasts. Slightly concerning. I take it back. But Fire Giant is okay. He's got the same problem as the other big bosses where you can't fucking see what you're hitting. You're just slashing and hoping. Like, how interesting is this character's design if the whole time I'm forced to look at his fucking shins? Why is that interesting at all? Moveset of him, it's pretty bog standard. It's pretty bland. I like the big shield he carries. I like the way that he chucks the fucking snow wave at you. That's cool. His roly-poly is probably the most satisfying in the game. Not because it's effective, it's because it looks like a panda. It looks very out of place. I enjoy it. One moment. So yeah. Largely underwhelming. When you consider what he could be, I feel he's a fairly underwhelming fight. Though I will say, he's very slow. Which you might think sounds like, oh, easy points, that's a bad thing. No, I think the fact that they've taken into consideration the thing's size with his attack speed, I'm a fan of. And it makes the fight feel realistic in that sense, I guess. Whereas perhaps, what's a good example of this? Perhaps, I did have one. I was just looking at it. Where the fuck's he gone? Radahn. Radahn maybe is a bit faster than I think he would be, given his fucking massive size. He's a bit too nimble with it. But Fire Giant feels just right in terms of speed of the encounter. And every hit packs a massive punch, but it's also easy to dodge. So it's fair, mechanically speaking. Disappointing, aesthetically speaking. And as an experience overall, middle of the road. So I think he belongs right there. Literally is like smack middle of the tier list so far. Godskin Duo, hated by all. Many would have you believe that they belong here. Or here rather, most insulting. Is that what that is? No, that's not, right. He would belong here as the most insulting boss. They're not that bad. They're not that bad. I kind of like the fact, I like the way that the arena's designed around them. I like the fact that the pillars they kind of guide you through the fight. You fight largely through the pillars. I literally did with Transient Moonlight. That's kind of bullshit, to be honest. The fact that I could swipe them with magic through the pillars. It's a bit cheap. But it is what it is. What are you going to do? It was... You got the dope music. Cool aesthetic. Good build-up. Felt like a significant fight for me, but only because I knew that they were considered to be one of the hardest bosses in the game. Not because of difficulty, but because of like the bullshit X factor. Unfairness, many would have you believe. I didn't feel it. I didn't feel the unfairness. What is unfair is that they have respawn abilities. Fuck that. Why? Why do you need to feel, or sorry, why do you feel the need to give them respawn capabilities? Why? Just make them a satisfying encounter. You slay one, you're like, fucking yes, where's your mate now? You're fucked. And then you slay the other one. You shouldn't have this sense of trepidation, like, oh, when's he going to respawn him? It makes no sense. Have them be slain and be done with it. It was also a chance to rematch my boy Godskin Apostle. Since this is the last time we're going to talk about the Godskin Duo, if Godskin Apostle were on this tier list, Godskin Apostle would be top of Pog. He'd be right there. Bordering on Dan level. He's a true legend of the game. Every encounter I had with him was legendary. Despite frustrating to no end. Actually, the second one was not frustrating. The second one, I fucking first tried him. But the first one took me hours and hours and hours. And I don't begrudge him that. I don't think of that as a bad thing. It was like the ultimate difficulty spike for me. And when I did beat him, I know I said, like, I didn't feel a sense of joy. I just felt relief that it was fucking over. But that's a lie. It was a real journey fighting him. And so he will always hold a place within my heart. Always. Godskin Apostle in me. Although he has weird kinks. So again, I don't respect that, but it is what it is. Not weird as in, like, quirky. Dude fucking wears the skin of his victims. That's some Patrick Bateman shit. Anyway. Godskin Duo. For me, even though the way that they can, like, gang up on you with the fireball is annoying. Spoilers? Is it spoilers, though? Is it really? American Psycho came out in the year 2000. Put Godskin Duo mid-range of Maidenless. Nah, fuck it. I enjoyed the fight. Fuck the haters. I think he's better than the first Godfrey Ghost fight. I had fun with it. You can chill there. Satisfying encounter. Malameth, Doggo, another wolf-like creature, immediately loses points for me. Very fucking sick fight. Very sick. A lot of people's favorite fight in the game. I agree with that to an extent. I'm putting Malekith Dan level. Malekith, no, I'm not. I'm putting Malekith Pog level. I'll tell you why. Beast Clergyman is fucking shite. The first phase of this fight is bullshit. I hate it. I fucking hate it. Because on one hand, it's kind of weak, right? You can get past phase 1 easily. But that shouldn't be something that's considered a virtue in this boss fight. Because at the end of the day, Yeah, that first phase is quite easy, but it takes away from the amount of time that you get to spend with Malekith. Malekith has half a health bar because the other half is wasted on fucking Beast Clergyman. When you learn Beast Clergyman's moves, he's just a fucking range spammer, and there's nothing enjoyable about that. You're forced to fight him on his terms. You can't change the pace because all he does is fucking throws dirt and rocks at you. It's just not interesting. His moveset's boring. His design is kind of cool, I guess. The arena's very cool. But the first half detracts from what is one of the best fights in the game, I think. And that's a shame. Because if it weren't there, Malekith would definitely be up here. He would. But as is, Poggy. I like his Blood Blade. That's cool. His Death Blade, whatever. I like again, that you have to, mechanically speaking, the way that you tackle the fight is informed by the arena. This doesn't feel like a fight that could take place in any arena. It feels like they designed it in such a way that the pillars are instrumental to how you're supposed to fight the boss, which some people might tell you is a bad thing. They might be like, hey, the fact that you have the pillars as a crux, something that you have to adhere to, they might say that restricts freedom. And it kind of does. But in a game where there are very few arenas that do have an impact on the fight itself, I'll take it. It's cool. I like it. The only thing I don't like is the lock-on. The lock-on shite. The fact that your lock-on breaks whenever he goes behind a pillar, why? Why not? Why could they not have just allowed his lock-on to continue through the pillar? That's what they did for the Godskin fight. What's the difference? The difference is that the Godskin fights, the pillars in the Godskin fight, they can be destroyed, whereas the ones in the Malekith one can't. But why not just allow the lock-on through the pillars? It would resolve so many frustrations. I found myself fighting the camera just as much as I was fighting fighting the lock-on just as much as I was fighting the boss. And that's very upsetting. And honestly, just thinking about that kind of makes me want to lower the boss, but no. No. Don't let that detract from the fact that Malekith is one of the coolest fucking designs in the game. He has one of the most satisfying move animations to watch, his attack animations rather. They're very, very fun. He feels appropriately difficult. Nothing in the fight I would say is really bullshit other than the lock-on. Just a very, very good experience. Great experience even. Poggy experience, if you will. Moog. Moog is a Dan level fight. I preferred Margit to Moog still, but that's because I'm biased. Look, you have to understand. With this tier list here, Margit was like my first ever From Software boss I've ever fought in my life, other than that Wolfman in the cave, which turns into like a regular enemy in the end game. But like actual designed boss intended to be hard in a video game, Margit at the time was probably like the hardest boss fight I've ever fought in any video game at the time. So like, you have to consider that maybe I'm a bit biased from my experience. But regardless, I still think mechanically it's very, very sound. Moog is also very, very sound mechanically. Moog, like... Who else did I say had this ability? Moog, like Morgott, has arena control in his moveset. You know? He can restrict the environment within which you guys can fight. And I find that respectable to a degree. There are points where I felt like the fire was kind of all over the fucking place. There was no rhyme or reason to it. For example, if Moog had spawned like a ring of blood around the arena, and again you were trapped like you were with those knives, then maybe I would have remembered it more fondly. Although saying that, Moog is ahead of Morgott in my ranking for a reason. And the reason is that Moog's attack patterns feel very natural. The delay to them is very frustrating, but I kind of consider that a good thing. Sure, I had a fucking rough time with the fact that every attack feels heavily slowed down than what you're used to with all the other bosses. But that sense of variety, that change of pace, it was very much enjoyed, very much appreciated. And to actually dodge his moves is not that hard when you learn it, you know? I will say he is hampered by that blood loss move. I think the blood loss move is very annoying. the Nihil spell that he casts on you. When you get the flask, it no longer becomes a problem, but the fact that you need the flask is very irritating. If I had not found the flask, or if I had not been told to go and grab the flask, let's be real here, that meant that I no longer took that much blood damage to his Nihil attack, he would be bottom of the pog list for me. So I can only imagine a player that doesn't have like people helping them through the game, fucking holding their hand, guiding them through the game. I can only imagine them fighting this boss would be a much more frustrating experience than it was for me. But as is, but when that was negated, he's just a mechanically very, very well designed fight. Very, very cool arena. It feels like there's a lot of stakes to it. However, he is a nonce. We have to consider that he is a nonce. For that reason, there we go. I didn't consider that. Moving on. You are Loretta, the second form. Or you're Loretta's only form. Only form. This Loretta is but a projection, but an astral form. This main Loretta is better than the ghost Loretta, I think. It's good to feel like you're actually hitting something. Nice to feel like they actually respect you enough to show up for the damn fight. Makes you feel a greater sense of importance within the world of Elden Ring. But even saying that, it's nothing that great. Fun fight. Based on spectacle, lower than Fire Giant, but other than that, about the same level, to be honest. I think. Middle of the road. We're coming towards the end of the rankings here. Malenia. Malenia? Is Malenia one of the hardest bosses ever put in a video game because of bullshit? Or because of fair difficulty? I still don't know. I go back and forth. Waterfall Dance is the elephant in the room. If Waterfall Dance weren't in the fight, how would people receive the fight? I think people would consider the fight without Waterfall to be the best fight in Elden Ring. I genuinely believe that. I do. There's enough iconic moves that she has in her moveset that she doesn't need the Waterfall. Would she be as hard a fight without the Waterfall? No. Is that such a bad thing? No. Even without Waterfall, she's still harder than maybe any other boss in the game. Other than like Radahn, if you solo Radahn. Malenia frustrated me. She took me 5 hours or something accumulatively to actually beat. Honestly, even 5 hours, I'm kind of proud of. I was helped by like runes and trinkets and shit. What do you call those items? Talismans? I was helped by my talismans. As a result of chat telling me what talismans to fucking get. Also, I was using Moonveil, so like... But it made... All I'm trying to get at with that is that I beat her without any summons because I'd min-maxed to a degree where I was able to beat her without summons. And the fact that you need to min-max and be so fucking perfect, have equipped the best gear, essentially follow IGN guides. The fact you have to follow IGN guides to be able to beat this boss 1v1 drags it down a bit for me. And I don't think that would be the case if Waterfall Dance weren't in the fight, but it is. And you know what else I'm suddenly fucking realizing? She's the only boss in the game that is able to recover health with every strike that she lands on you. And I don't respect that. And I don't think that respects the player. I think that's unjust difficulty. It's not earned. It's bullshit. And it left a horrible taste in my mouth fighting her. Because without that, if you take away Waterfall, you take away the health regen. Still one of the hardest movesets in the game. Upper HP, just upper HP a tiny bit, and it's the same experience basically. Why does she need the health leech? She doesn't, and the fact she has it is maybe a sign that they were trying too hard. I don't know. Why make her quite a weak character? Why make it that she takes a lot of damage with every hit? It's not like she's tanky. She has poor poise. You can stagger her quite easily. So why even bother with the health leech? It makes no sense, other than to just instill frustration. It feels mean. It feels like it's been constructed without fun as the guiding, I don't know, objective. She is optional, and that kind of wins her bonus points. Much like Moog, they're both optional bosses, but mechanically, because of Waterfowl, because of the health leech and whatever, it's not like she has. It's not like you can get something like the potion that allows you to to escape Moog's bullshit health steal move. You can't escape this health steal move. I've also read that you can't block her health restoring abilities. If you block one of her attacks, she still heals. What is that? It's fucked. I think it's unfair without fun at heart. And for that reason, even though it's still a great encounter, those two things reduce it to being top of Poggy. I think. It's been a while since we've had one of these, and therefore I'm glad. Gideon, the all-knowing. Oh, also, fuck the fact that she has 2 health bars. Fuck that shit. Why? Why give her 2 health bars? Just give her more HP, take away the health, the healing move, the healing properties, and fucking give her 1 HP bar, for fuck's sake. You literally give her twice the HP. Just give her double the HP, what's the problem? Why does she need to have 2 health bars? Fuck it. Gideon the all-knowing? Shite. Absolute dog shit. Hater energy? Severe hater? Not even a certified one, like severe hater. He's there just to troll you. He's there to stand at the gates of Valhalla and deny you access. What's that about? You cannot stop me, you fool. Why even try? Get fucked. Anyway, we dispatched with him with ease. First attempt. He didn't hit me with a single attack. He didn't even fucking try. Therefore, I don't respect him. Valiant Gargoyle is more insulting. Regal Ancestor Spirit is more insulting. Renala is more insulting. He can chill there. Godfrey? I found Godfrey too easy. Now, there's only one reason I found Godfrey too easy. Because my HP bar was so fucking big. Why was my HP bar so big? Because I had to min-max to fucking beat Millennia. Me powering up my character to take out this bitch. 0 seconds? You've spent 0 seconds watching me? Unlucky. All that time? If that's just how fast my streams fly by, R2. You're having too much of a good time. They go so fast. Okay. What was I saying? Because of the degree to which I had to grind to make my character optimized to face Millennia and win in a 1v1, it meant that when I did fight Godfrey, it felt kind of underwhelming. His first phase, I did not enjoy as much as his second phase. Most people will tell you the opposite. Most people will tell you that his moveset is very finely tuned mechanically and it has that sort of rhythmic aspect I was talking about earlier. You got that dance quality, but they'll tell you that it feels quite fair and that you're able to dodge it quite easily. I disagree. I fucking hate this dude's ground slams. He's got such a fucking issue with the floor. He just has a tantrum for fucking 3 minutes. That's all the fight is. And what annoys me is there's no clear way of knowing if you're going to be hit by his ground slams. Not by the slam itself, but by the residual debris that flies into your fucking face. There were so many times I thought I was standing a safe distance away from him, but he hits the fucking floor and I take damage out of nowhere and I'm like, what is that fucking bullshit? Give me a clear hitbox. Don't give me a dodgy one. And for that, I was annoyed. But the music is fucking sick. It's got a sense of finality to it. Even though it's not the final boss of the game, it damn well could be, you know? And it maybe should have been. We'll get on to that later. But I respect the boss's aesthetic, and I expect the feeling of fighting him. I don't respect the first phase because of what I just said, the imprecision, lack of precision where hitboxes are concerned. Phase 2 I fucking loved, and most people will tell you phase 2 they don't like because of the grab attacks that can one-shot you. Because I had a large enough HP bar, I was able to appreciate the grab attacks as you know, spectacle rather than game-ending catastrophes. They just looked cool as fuck. I think I got hit by 2 out of 3 of them, because I've seen the third one where he like kicks your head like a damn golf ball across the screen. I never got hit by that one. Golf ball? Who's kicking golf balls? I don't fucking know. But Phase 2 was a fun time, and I almost wish there was a whole boss fight that was Phase 2. Very cool. Godfrey? Below Malekith. Below Malenia. Below Moog. Below Radahn. Below Margit. Below Rykard. Right. Rykard, I'm going to be honest, Rykard does not belong as the top boss in this tier list. But Rykard is my favourite boss in the tier list. Behind Margit. Just for me. I struggle between these two. One is pure awe, pure spectacle, pure fantastical nonsense. And one is like, holy fuck, I'm gonna die. I'm in for a horrendous 90-hour experience. Dragonlord Placidusax. Dragonlord Placidusax. Acidusax. Hater. King of the Dragons in a game where I ran away from every dragon encounter. And yet here is this optional boss waiting for you. This slumbering millennia-old creature that you feel is not in his prime. And the fact that he gives you such a hard time in trying to fight him, it should scare you. The thought of fighting him in his prime should scare you, is what I'm trying to say. We faced this thing with 2 of its heads. It's got a 3rd one removed, and it still beat my ass for fucking 2 hours and a half. I loved it. Very, very cool fight. Best arena in the game, maybe, behind Rykard's. Sick as fuck. I love the color grading of it. Totally agree. I knew you would. I love the color palette of it. The sharp reds and yellows that cut through the general grey of the landscape made for very nice, I don't know, intriguing visuals. Almost cinematic in nature. Actually, the moves of the fight itself, his moveset, pretty fair, pretty slow, easy to dodge. I actually mean that. I think every attack in this fight is easy to dodge, apart from the laser eyes. Those are shite. Those feel very annoying because they're so fast. I think if his laser eyes were maybe reduced in speed, you know what? Like the speed at which it crosses the screen. If that were reduced by like half a fucking second to the animation, I'd think it's a pretty flawless moveset. Genuinely. Only one thing. I wish they had toned down the frequency with which this fucker uses teleport. It's like encountering a shiny Abra. You just shit yourself. Like, on one hand, you're like, oh fuck, I'm good, but then teleport immediately. There's no chance to enjoy the moment because it just disappears in a flash. This fucker does not allow you to capitalize on any of his openings when he's using certain moves. Like, you can go 1 minute. You can go 1 whole minute of this fight without actually landing a blow because his teleport is that frustrating. He zooms around the fucking screen. He dive bombs into you. Teleports 5 fucking times. Slashes at the air. You dodge every one. You're not able to slash him at all after it. And then when you think you're going to get the chance, he flies away again, restarts, rinses and repeats. It's like, come on, man. Maybe reduce the rate at which he teleports by like 50%, and this is an S tier fight for me. The laser eyes I can get by with, because at the end of the day, in my last attempt against him, I think I dodged the laser eye moves twice. So maybe I'll rescind that comment. I don't know, man. I don't know. The laser eyes just feel unnecessarily difficult to see. Maybe if your vision were like, if the camera were an extra few feet back, give you a wider scope, then the laser eyes would be okay. It's the fact that you're limited to your peripheral vision with the camera. I don't know. Cool fight. Sick as fuck spectacle. One of my favorites in the game. Put him between Malekith and Malenia, I think. Radagon? S. Dan level fight. Dan level fight. Is what I should be saying. But it's not Radagon, is it? It's Radagon and the Elden Beast. Radagon is like the tightest designed boss I felt when I was fighting him. I was like, this felt like they spent half the fucking time developing this fight. The movesets were very precise. The attacks were very precise. The dodge windows, plentiful. Openings to strike yourself, also plentiful. It felt like trading blows. It was like a damn Rocky fight. Ebb and flow was off the chain. Dance strats off the chain. He teleports towards you. You roll past. You fucking combat roll past the fucker. Slash him in the back. Rinse, repeat. It felt great. True endgame, final boss level material. And it really should have been. But alas, we had the Elden Beast also. Elden Beast feels like it belongs in a different game. Which I could view that as being either a bad thing or a good thing. I said that for Rykard, it felt like a good thing. I feel like for Elden Beast, it does feel like a good thing. But I almost feel like they should have been switched around. Radagon should have been the final boss. Elden Beast should have been the penultimate boss. And also, I think that the Elden Beast... what was I going to say? I had something, I had a point. What was I going to say? Oh, you bastard. I can't fucking remember. What I can tell you is that the Elden Beast suffers from the same fucking problem as the Fire Giant and the other big bosses, and that you can't fucking see the thing. It's just a big fucking dickhead. It's a big penis. It's a big floating penis. And you can't even see the fucker as you whittle his health bar down, and he hits you with like bullshit magic attacks that track you across the screen for fucking 3 minutes and don't end. He teleports across the screen. It takes you 2 minutes to actually be able to land a hit on him. When you do, you get 4 shots on him, then he swims away, and it's a boss fight of patience, and honestly it's quite boring. The music is really nice, but it's not a final boss soundtrack. That's what Radagon's is. Radagon has the title music as his soundtrack. Why is the Elden Beast something that's sending you to sleep? I don't want the final boss of my game to send me to sleep. I want it to fucking pog me up and hype me up. And that's what Radagon did. That's not what Elden Beast did. Elden Beast should have been before Radagon, and also they should not have had they should not have had... Or sorry, what am I trying to say? Also, you should have got a separation between the two. No, you shouldn't have. I quite like the fact, I'm deciding now, that you don't get a rest point between them. I just wish it were the other way around. Also, Radagon should be harder, in the sense that he should have more HP. His attack damage is great, I just wish it lasted longer. I think this is fair placement. Yeah. Astel also belongs in a different game. Also gets away with the fact that it's okay that he feels like he belongs in a different game because he's literally in another realm. Or at least he should be. But if you're me, and you didn't do the side quest, you didn't do Ranni's side quest till you'd beaten the main story, then you might have encountered Astel when in the cave that I encountered him in the consecrated snowfields. Out of the way, random fucking spider monster that lives in a cave, even though there's no opening for him to have, sustained himself in that cave. How did he get in the cave in the first place? How is a creature of this fucking size fitting through the tiny little cave that I fit through? Tiny little door, unless he was like birthed in that cave. Then who the fuck's feeding him? Logistically, how's that happening? Where's Hagrid in this world? Is Hagrid feeding this dude off the screen? Or does he like feast off of fucking dreams of unsuspecting tarnish that walk into the cave? I don't fucking know. Anyway, that's a meaningless rant. That's not actually talking about the boss fight itself. The boss fight itself is very cool. The boss fight itself is not very hard. The boss fight itself has a mixture of close range and long range attacks to contend with. There is scope to be an aggressive on the front foot player, and there's scope to be a bit more calculated, methodical with when you're going to attack him. I respect both of these ways of playing. In fact, I think I used the Moonveil for both of them. So I think I switched it up though. There were sometimes I stood back, hit him with a couple of transients. Sometimes I got in there, stayed underneath him and fucking slashed at him when he tried to blow me up with light beams in front of him. Some of his attacks, I'll say, felt a bit clumsy. They didn't feel like they were very precise. They felt too easy to dodge at times. Anytime he tried to attack me with his fucking tail, that shit was dope as fuck. I enjoyed that. Oh fuck, I didn't talk about, or did I? Did I talk about Placidus X's teleport and how you can, like, lock onto it while he's teleporting around the screen? And how that's not intuitive at all? And if it weren't for that being slightly broken, that you could stay locked onto him when he's doing his teleport swipes with his claws, that would be the worst attack in the game. But because you can lock on, it's quite forgiving. My point with that being that Astel teleports and you can't lock on, and you don't know where he's going to come, you have to, like, use the sound of the game and whatever to know if he's going to snipe you in his pincers and grab you and one-shot you. And I think it's quite an effective horror boss. An Elden Ring horror boss. That's what he is. But despite him being quite a horrific entity to contend with, as a time, as a sheer spectacle, and from a standpoint of enjoyment, I enjoyed Astel. I don't consider him to be upper level. I'd say he's upper level certified hater. The tier list is still going. You know it, buddy. You know it. I was dedicated for this one. His hitbox is low-key ass. That's true. Wait, now I'm thinking about this actually. Let's look back at some of the bosses. Or do any of them, any others of them have questionable hitboxes? This fucker has shite hitboxes. This magma fucking creature, magma worm thing, that thing's hitbox is ass also. I've been here for the whole list. I've not got an idea what's going on. And that's why you'll have your spot in the Hall of Fame. That's why Valhalla will welcome you with open arms. Yeah, I agree with you. Astel's hitbox is a bit bullshit, but I'm not really going to change my ranking accordingly. I still think he belongs in the mid-range upper. You know who else has a fucking shite hitbox? This prick. Dragon Fortisax beast thing. Fuck him. Fuck him. Hater energy. Is he a certified hater? I don't know. He's a cool spectacle. He looks dope as fuck. His moveset is okay. The fucking I absolutely loathed the lightning strikes that came down on you intermittently. You get like 3 of them in like 5 seconds, and you have to time your rolls accordingly. It's like the dragon Draconical Tree Sentinel thing. It's like his move that fucking zaps the lightning down on you. Except it comes in bursts of 3. It's fucking annoying. I don't have time for it. Any dragon really? Any dragon really? What do you mean? Anyway, I didn't really enjoy this boss fight. I didn't find it that memorable. It's a side quest. It feels tangential. It's optional, which is kind of a point in his favor, to be honest. You don't have to fight him. He was the last boss I ever fought in the game, and I had fun destroying him and demoralizing him. But his attacks felt very annoying to deal with. His hitbox was annoying to deal with. And he belongs. He's a maidenless beast. Maidenless. Top end of maidenless. That's where he belongs. The roll has to be perfect to dodge that. Who's this? Who are you? You're Moog again? You're Sewer Moog! I lied. This is the last boss I fought. This is Sewer Moog. This is Moog without the bloodsteel. This is Moog without the HP. Moog without the attack damage. This is Moog that I first tried. And this is Moog that is a shameless copy of one of the best bosses in the game and largely detracts from this boss's presence in the game. Mechanically still sound, but like a damp squid in comparison to this A-lister nonce up here. I am putting Sewer Moog as worse than Godskin Noble, better than Mimic tier. And just like that, The fight is easy, because you get the seal just before you fight him. What seal? I didn't get no fucking seal. What seal? And that brings us to the end of the Elden Ring main boss tier list. Story boss tier list. This is every boss that I encountered towards my path of beating the game. There are some that aren't represented here. The fucking Godskin Apostle is one of them. But other than that, it's pretty well covered from my experience. Seal Team 6, the Moog Seal. What the hell's the Moog Seal? He gets dropped to the ground? What? No one told me about that shit. I wish I'd got to use a fucking Moog Seal. Can you repeat every boss again, please? I didn't hear them. Okay, yeah. Let's reshuffle all the bosses and let's do it again. Let's go over. Let's do a rundown real fast of what our finished article looks like then. My favorite boss in the game, Margit. I said why. He's the first From Software boss I ever fought. He gave me a feeling of, oh fucking hell, I'm going to be here till I die. He took me 2 hours and I didn't realize that I was going to spend longer on some of the bosses after. But there was a sense of hopelessness about it. But there was also a sense of epicness in that it was like the coolest boss I'd ever fought in my life. And I think I do have the most fond memories of him as an encounter. Rykard, sick as fuck. I stand by this as pure spectacle. Radagon, I'm lowering Radagon. Elden Beast drags Radagon down, man. I fucking loved Radagon. The Elden Beast is just boring in comparison. Radahn feels a bit like a shameful addition in this list. Honestly, if I were giving you my honest opinion, Radahn would be like here for me. But because I didn't fight him properly, and everyone else says he's the best boss in the game, I can't put him anything lower than top tier. Just because my attempt against him was botched as fuck doesn't mean I can't respect the people that I have seen fight him and they do it well. His moveset's sick as fuck. He's like one of the most intimidating oppositions in the fucking game. I'm not doing this all again. Moog, mechanically perfect. Almost. Malenia, mechanically problematic. Otherwise, she would be up here. Dragon Lord Placidusax, fucking cinematic as fuck. Malekith would be higher, but Beast Clergyman annoys me, and I hate his bullshit fucking ground throwing dirt in your face attacks. I hate that shit. Godfrey would be higher, but I made a fucking mockery of him because I was too over leveled, because I was too concerned about beating Malenia for one-on-one. Well, by the time I'd beat Malenia one-on-one, my health was too much, so I didn't get the true impact of the Godfrey fight. Even though I think he's mechanically very tight. Other than the ground slams that sometimes hit you out of nowhere. Godric, creepy fucker, but very, very cool. Still early game. Offers you new challenges to contend with. Margit didn't have any AoEs. This guy has tons of them. I think his dragon claw that he when he holds the fucking, you know when he sticks his hand up the dragon's ass, right? And he reanimates it. And he fucking wields the dragon's head on his arm. And he starts spraying fire at the floor and walking towards you. That attack's bullshit, but other than that, pretty flawless. Pretty perfect, I think. Where his moveset is concerned, very satisfying to dodge. Felt almost cinematic in a way that Placidusax maybe isn't. Mechanically cinematic, like a damn action film. Margit just only a little bit less interesting because you've already seen it before. Radagon's Beast. I like Radagon's Beast being up here. Dog of Radagon, Wolf of Radagon. I like him being in this position. I feel like we're offering him a lot of respect. I'm a fan. Very unique. There's no other boss on this list like him. It doesn't mean that like Fire Giant, because it's unique, automatically gets points. But he's fun and unique, whereas Fire Giant is unique and cumbersome. They're not built the same. Fire Giant should be lower. He has a lot of health. He's easy, just a lot of health. Yeah. Why did I also say he was here? Oh, I don't like the fact that he's cool. His design is cool, but you can't fucking see it, so what's the point? Commander Nile, I low-key loved as a challenge. I also love his music theme that accompanies the fight. There's a sense of like you're going to war, because you are, I guess, against the damn commander. I think aesthetically, he's got some of the coolest looking attacks in the game. Even though I don't really like the fact that he constantly has a swirling AoE around him that's like a shield. Although, like I did say, you can get in with the shield. You can get into the shield and like dodge through those whirlwind swipe things. I just chose to be a coward about it. But probably my favourite side boss of the game. Astel, yep, seems about right. Elmer of the Briar there would be higher if I just didn't find his unpredictable sword flying mechanics so annoying. Tree Sentinel carried with it a sense of progression and anticipation every time you fought him. Fire Giant just a bit fucking boring and long. Easy attacks to dodge. Hard hitting though, so if you make one mistake you get punished heavily. Loretta Knights, very well designed but nothing interesting about them. Misbegotten Warrior Creature, I don't even know who you fucking are, to be honest with you. Fucking take him down. I don't know who he is. I can't have him higher than Moog. I'm not even having him higher than Mimic tier. Just shove him there. Godskin Duel, not that bad. Not as bad as I was expecting. I think it had been played up to me from chat that like they were going to be my fucking worst nightmare, especially because they know how much I hate fighting the Godskin Apostle. But now I have nothing but respect for Godskin Apostle. The only thing I hate about this fight is the roly-poly move from the round boy. That's it. I feel like their movesets do kind of weirdly complement each other. I feel like the Godskin Fat Boy kind of stayed back while Godskin rushed me a little. That's what it felt like. So I was able to pick them off one by one, which is not the case with these fuckers. Where are they? Who run at you full pelt, but we'll get to them. Godfrey, Ghost of Godfrey. Alright. It was a kind of like a what the fuck moment when he appeared. It felt like just a side boss creature. Dragonlord Fortisax. Largely boring. Noble. Nothing great, nothing memorable to be honest. Kind of easy. Moog, Sewer Moog. The same, to be honest. Another variation of a boss I'd already fought, but easier. So like, not that interesting for me. Mimic tier would be interesting if I didn't have such a shit build. I feel like it would be better. Misbegotten Warrior we just discussed. Dragonkin, boring fuck. Magma Worm, who even is that? Annoying. Camera work, can never fucking see the bastard. Easy attacks to dodge though, and satisfying to slay. Gideon, waste of my time. Renala, real waste of my time. This fucker took way too long because of his damn HP healing. Not hard at all. Nice music, but that's about all he's got going for him. And then these two little fucking gremlins that I hope I never see again. That's been the tier list. Thank you for watching. This brings an end to the Elden Ring content on the channel. But, fear not, because we'll be entering the world of Dark Souls at some point in the very near future. So stay tuned. Stay tuned to the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/DanTalksNonsense, and stay tuned to the YouTube channel, also by the same name, DanTalksNonsense. And yeah, the Dark Souls content will begin very shortly. I hope you've enjoyed my recount of these bosses. It's been a fun one. But that's all we're going to talk about today. So yeah. Dark Souls or FromSoft games? It's going to be Dark Souls. I'm going to play Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. I want to play Sekiro as well, though. I just don't know when I'm going to get around to it. But yeah. So yeah. Thanks everyone for joining the stream. And I'll catch you tomorrow, 1 PM through 6 PM. And then potentially an evening stream with Cameron. A co-op game stream. Who knows? We'll see. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Be safe. Be well. Don't let Shrek invade your throats. Catch you next time.